Hey everyone, Cavedan here for the Faithless Brewing podcast. We are kicking off a new project. This month we are brewing around Jinnie Fay Jetmir's second. Jinnie Fay is a 3/3 for 3. She allows me to convert any token that I would make into a cat or a dog. Fun little card. This was actually voted on by listeners of the podcast. A lot of support for this, and it's not hard to see why. Token decks are always so much fun, and just getting to suddenly attack with a bunch of haste cats sounds absolutely sweet. So what are we doing with Jinnie? Well, one of the best interactions I've found so far is Gingerbread Cabin, the forgotten member of the Throne of Eldraine common lands. Gingerbread Cabin is in the right colors for Jinnie. It allows me to make a food, but that food, if I have a Jinnie, becomes a cat or a dog. Playing all 4 copies of Gingerbread Cabin alongside Wrenn and 6, kind of imagine an Indomitable Creativity deck, but transposed into green as the base color. Other ways to make Gingerbread Cabin good are Galazeth Prismari. Galazeth Prismari, similar to Urza, allows my artifacts to suddenly tap for mana. And one of the best ways to use that mana is actually to fill your deck with rainbow spells. This is something that even Urza can't do. Galazeth plus Bring to Light is extremely powerful. Like, you'll resolve Galazeth and you'll have like a portable hole, a couple of foods, maybe a clue from a tracker, and all of a sudden, with Galazeth bringing a treasure, you have enough to Galazeth and Bring to Light for a Tybalt in the same turn. It's been very impressive in earlier builds of this deck, so I'm excited to just kind of revive this little package here of Gingerbread, Galazeth, Bring to Light, Tireless Tracker for a little more artifact action, portable hole, and a couple of gilded geese. To round things out, I've got a couple more color-intensive spells: Expressive Iteration, Glittering Wish. These are great ways to spend the Galazeth mana. And a spicy one, Shape Anew. Shape Anew converts any artifact into the best artifact in my deck, so I can convert a food off the Gingerbread Cabin into a Mere Battlesphere. Mere Battlesphere, if Jinnie is in play, this brings along 4 Mere, which becomes 4 cats, which just sounds so sweet. So that's why the Shape Anew is here, just a one-of so that Bring to Light can find it. You may be wondering, if you are an astute viewer, how in the world can you play Shape Anew and Portable Hole in the same deck? And the answer is that you can't, and you shouldn't, and I just wasn't thinking. I got my wires crossed. I had like 3 different versions of this as I was moving cards around, and some had Shape Anew, some didn't, some had portable holes, some had like more lightning bolts instead. And I just mixed up and registered a list by accident that had both Shape Anew and portable hole, which is kind of embarrassing, but let's hope it doesn't punish me too bad in the league. So beyond that, we're just testing A, is this Gingerbread Cabin engine worth it, and B, what will Jinnie provide? So without further ado, let's just jump into the league. Welcome back. We are here for Match 1, Game 1 with Gingerbread Galazeth Bring to Light, featuring Jinnie Fay. Starting off with our Giganta Companion, opponent has won the die roll and suspended a Rift Bolt, so it looks like we're up against classic Boros Burn. Not my favorite matchup by any stretch. We do have plenty of Gingerbread Cabins in our deck, so we have a lot of life gain that will provide some natural counterplay. On the other hand, we have plenty of spot removal, and we're just at the mercy of our opponent actually drawing creature threats so that these portable holes do something. The more Goblin Guides, Monastery Swiftspears they draw, and the fewer Lava Spikes, the better off I will be. Oh, there's a Lava Spike, speaking of the devil. So on this turn, I'm just going to conserve life. I could have shocked that Temple Garden in and played one of these creatures, but they don't provide immediate value, and the 2 life is worth a lot to me, especially if the opponent is like sitting on Searing Blaze. There's not much incentive to shock myself. Let's just develop a Galazeth Prismari. Okay, Lightning Bolt down to 7. We can crack the food next turn and start to claw back into this. Okay, there's a Searing Blaze. Oh, and they don't have a second Searing Blaze, so the opponent might just be out of stuff. That is a good opportunity for me to just start putting some pressure on. There's Jinnie Fay. I should maybe crack this food token. I think I'll do it in response to that Sunbaked Canyon activation, just in case they draw a Skullcrack in the disaster scenario. Okay, Tireless Tracker comes down. Here's the nice interaction we're looking for. The clue from the Tireless Tracker actually becomes a haste cat from Jinnie Fay to allow me to present lethal damage. Now I just need to fade one more turn. There's a Searing Blaze going down to 4. And yes, the opponent does not have a second spell, so we have narrowly escaped game 1. They flooded out a little bit, but that's what we needed. Back now for game number 2 of round 1. We are up a game. Gilded Goose, okay. So we have a chance with this hand. If the goose survives, that's worth several points of life. If we're very lucky, this Teferi can snag a Rift Bolt, but more importantly, I like to bring in Teferis because they shut down Skullcrack and basically force the burn player to, tap out when I want them to tap out. Also, I just don't have that many good cards against burn, so Teferi is better than nothing. There's that Searing Blaze. Okay, my goose is cooked. Gonna just fire off the food while they're tapped out, so that there's no Skullcrack shenanigans happening. Unfortunately, have to play a Gingerbread Cabin tapped here. Not going to get a food off that one, but we do need to get to 4 lands for this second Gingerbread Cabin. And yeah, just playing it super conservative, fetching Gigantha. Actually, I can't even cast these Teferi Time Ravelers. We have only drawn 1 fetch land, 1 non-green land source so far. So our life total is dwindling. Have the option to play Jinnie, but I think we should maybe just try to get a food crack off. Again, fearing Skullcrack from the opponent. Okay, there's this Eidolon of the Great Revel. That gives us something to do with this spot removal. Another Unholy Heat. Alright, would love to get more lands here, if nothing else just to make more Gingerbread Cabins. There's a Searing Blaze again, so no value off Jinnie that time. 2 cards left from the opponent. Okay, here comes Ren and 6. Let's get a fetch land back and go for possibly another Gingerbread Cabin. It's not looking great here. I don't know what the opponent is sitting on, but we'll find out when we crack this fetch. Skullcrack and another Skullcrack. Okay, so we were quite dead there. On to game 3. It's not easy to just withstand burn forever. The best strategy against burn tends to be to play like a Tarmogoyf or a Gurmagingler type creature and actually put them on the defensive, force them to use their burn spells to keep them alive. Just trying to withstand however many Lava Spikes and Skullcracks they draw is a tough order for anyone. But, I mean, that's what we gotta do. We gotta play our lands tapped, gotta conserve life total. This Ren and 6 represents 12 points of Gingerbread. This Ren and 6 represents 12 points of Gingerbread Cabin life. So even though my life is down to 10, if I can just untap, I can start to get the food train rolling next turn. There's a Suspended Rift Bolt. We are worried about Skullcracks here, so we're not going to crack the food yet. We're going to wait for the opponent to tap out. There they go. Okay, so there's the chance to crack 1 food, back up to 13. Here comes the Rift Bolt. Puts me back down to 10. The opponent is on 4 cards, so there's an Eidolon. Okay, so this is... we're still in this. It's not over. Unholy Heat will put us to 8, then cracking the fetch will put us to 7. Well, this is nice. We can get a Tireless Tracker here. So now we can actually start adding some pressure to the board ourselves. Unfortunately, this tracker is likely to die to a Searing Blaze, but I think it's still worth it just to, start to make some forward progress. Back up to 10 off the second Gingerbread Cabin. There's a Searing Blaze. There's a Goblin Guide. Oof, that's tough. So we will go to 5 here. Cracking the fetch will put us to 4, and then Gingerbread Cabin will put us back up to 7. Let's choose the Bring to Light. I mean, this is our endgame. If we can just get an Omnath plus a fetch land, I think we'll be in the clear. That can't happen until next turn. As much as I would have liked to take the Jinnie Fay off that expressive iteration, we just have to play for our endgame. In this specific matchup, it's just going to be about getting Omnath down. Alright. There's the Lightning Bolt. Please no Boros Charm. Ooh, skewer the critics. Ooh, thank goodness. So they've actually shut us off of cracking a fetch land. That was a good play from the opponent. They don't know that we've drawn the Bring to Light, so we're actually going to be totally fine here. We can even Bring to Light for Galazeth first if we want to, but there's no need to get fancy. Let's just get the Omnath down, make sure that we get our life, and if we want to crack for the Gingerbread Cabin, you know, we might as well do so. Okay, there's the cabin, we're up to 7 now. We should be totally fine. Yeah, the opponent has conceded. Alright, round 1 in the books. Back now for round number 2. Let's hope for a little more interactive magic so that we can actually get something out of our 3/3s and 3/4 creatures. Looks like we're up against, is it Murktide? Remains to be seen whether they are on the Dragon's Rage Channeler or Ledger Shredder variety. Some lists play both. Oh, there's a Ledger Shredder. So we have 4 portable holes in the deck. Let's hope that we can draw one before too long and not just let this bird run roughshod over us. Oh, perfect. There it is. I summoned it to the top of the deck. So that will shut down the Shredder. We can just play it slow here. Get another Triumph off this Wooded Foothills and get Wrenn and 6 established. Another portable hole. Okay. You can't draw it up any better than that. That's what we play for. Wrenn and 6 is going to compel them to dash the Ragavan. They can't leave it on the board with Ragavan in play. So now we're reaching the state of the game where I hope my cards are just going to be worth more than their cards. Let's get Jinnie Fay. Oh no! Why? Come on! Counterspell? Come on. I hadn't even showed a Gingerbread Cabin. They just slammed Counterspell on this. They didn't even want to see what I was doing. That's disappointing. I am disappointed by that. We wanted to make at least 1 cat for the people. Alright, well, let's keep just jamming threats. There's no way around the counter magic. I'm not playing Teferi main deck. So I just have to hope that I have something left over when the dust settles, and that something will ideally be a Bring to Light for Valki. Okay, Ragavan has found just a land off the top. No value for them there. We have not yet accumulated enough mana to double spell, but maybe if we jam Galazeth, this will tell us if the coast is clear. Archmage's Charm, nope, okay. Well, Wrenn and 6 is threatening to ultimate next turn, and ultimating Wrenn and 6 with Bring to Light should get the job done. This Lightning Bolt will finally put a stop to Dash shenanigans. Let's see if we get the ultimate off this turn. Unholy Heat. Oh, only for 2. They don't have Delirium, so they're just trying to delay the ultimate off Wrenn and 6. And that's okay. This gives us a window. They're tapped down low. This should be enough to Bring to Light for Valki, unless they have a Spell Pierce. And they do not. Okay, so now this game should be well in hand. Valki on an empty board at a decent life total is just bigger than what Is It Murktide can usually deal with. Alright, we'll crack some food just to get ourselves a little bit higher. Got plenty of stuff here. We found Lightning Bolt, we found Unholy Heat. As soon as Tybalt gets the ultimate, we're going to actually potentially just kill them immediately with burn spells. Here comes Ragavan. That's just going to eat Unholy Heat. Oh, Otawara. Okay, so they managed to bounce the Tybalt back to our hand, delaying the inevitable. We're still way ahead on resources, and we've eaten so much food that we're almost even on life. We are playing the 1 Overgrown Tomb, so that allows us to hardcast Tybalt again, and now this should be all she wrote. Up a game in round 2 against Is It Murktide. That style of interactive back and forth magic seemed to favor us, at least based on the hands we drew. Now obviously we established Wrenn and 6 early there, that helped a ton. They have plenty of counter magic, so it's not a given that we win the long game, but I do think that on average we are capable of going bigger than the opponent. So I'm going to actually play it a little slow here. I don't want to jam Wrenn and 6 into a counterspell. There's no way of guaranteeing that Ren resolves, but I would like to at least do it on a turn that is more favorable to me. Is this that turn? Yes. Okay, yeah, let's just go for it. There's the counterspell. Unfortunately, because we've drawn this basic island, there's no food coming off the gingerbread, so we need to play the gingerbread now so that any future gingerbreads come into play untapped. Archmage's Charm. Okay, so they've countered Galazeth as well. Ledger Shredder, I would like to introduce you to 3 portable holes. So they've been sitting on some creatures to get that trigger off the Shredder. They're down to 2 cards in hand, and I'm hoping that there's not a Murktide Regent among them. Question is, do I want to cast Valky to look at their hand, or do I want to hold it for 2 more turns to get to Tybalt? I'm going to hold it and hope I don't get too punished by that. If the opponent slams a Murktide here, that would obviously be bad, but the chances of Valky surviving are not super huge. Let's draw that Thoughtseize. We sided that in. Opponent responds by drawing 2 cards. Okay, 2 Murktides, Expressive Iteration, and Unholy Heat. I'm going to take the Expressive Iteration. This is a bit risky, but I do have Bring to Light, and I know they don't have a counterspell. So I can sweep the board with Bring to Light and just wipe up any number of Murktides. Okay, they're going to deploy both of them, so they're walking into the trap. They're tapping out for just a 9/9 and an 8/8 Murktide. That is lethal damage on me. However, I do have Bring to Light here, which should clean up the board. Alright, let's just make sure I'm tapping the right colors. Oh no, no, I sided out the Wrath. Okay, well, so it turns out that I sided out my Solar Blaze. So we were not able to Wrath the board. We had to choose a Kaya's Guile instead. Still not completely over yet, right? If I can just get 1 more land, I can cast Tybalt, but that was embarrassing. I mean, the reason that Supreme Verdict is not in the deck is because I wanted this Giganta Companion, and obviously Supreme Verdict is wonderful against Murktide. It's one of the few guaranteed ways to clean up dragons. So I'm getting punished here for A, including Giganta in my deck, and, you know, B, not having faith in the Solar Blaze. Definitely would have won this game if I had just gotten the Solar Blaze to Wrath. And the opponent has drawn a counterspell. That's going to be the game. We needed to fade that there. If we had resolved that Valky, taking down the Murktide, I think we had a good chance between Gingerbread Cabins to get our life total back and just having more action, but it was not to be. Let's see if we can't redeem ourselves in the 3rd game. We put the Solar Blaze back into the deck just for emergencies, and oof, starting on a mulligan to 5, that is not promising against Murktide. A lot depends on resolving this Ren and 6. I'm just going to go for it, you know, unless they have exactly Spell Pierce. Oh, well, okay, no need to finish that sentence. They have exactly Spell Pierce. So now I'm in a lot of trouble. Oh, they're dashing Ragavan. That's kind of a surprise. I don't know, like, why they are dashing here. I guess they're afraid of a second Ren and 6. Some people are addicted to treasures. Alright, well, this is not looking great, but as long as we draw natural lands, we have a chance. You know, this Giganta, for which we sacrificed so much to put it in the deck, will be worth a card at some point. Omnath is worth an extra card if I can resolve it. Oh, and they're gonna play the Ragavan. Perfect. So they're actually tapping underneath counter magic. Let us just slam the Omnath, get our value in, and ask them if they have only heat. They don't even have Delirium right now, so there's a good chance that Omnath will survive. Ledger Shredder. Oh, this is a nice interaction from them. Okay, so even though they don't have Delirium when they cast Unholy Heat, the Connive gives them an opportunity to discard their 4th type before Unholy Heat resolves, so that actually gave them the 6 damage they needed. That was nice. I mean, not nice for me, obviously, but nice for the opponent. So we're a little bit behind the 8 ball here. Alright, we're going to shape anew on the gingerbread food and just get the Mirror Battlesphere. Now, you may have noticed that the deck actually includes portable holes, and as I talked about, I think in the deck tech that was just a glaring error. I think I didn't even realize it when I made this play. I was still thinking, oh, this is a guaranteed Battlesphere, so I fired it off. happily, you know, I had the 20% chance it worked. I didn't realize until like several rounds later that I had horrifically punted by including Shape Anew in a deck that had portable holes. So don't try this at home. You can probably just cut the Shape Anews, but they are quite powerful. It's quite a powerful interaction to be able to Shape Anew off of a fetch land. It doesn't have to be Mere Battlesphere, it can be, you know, Darksteel Colossus or whatever else you want. I'm playing the Battlesphere because of the potential interaction with Jinnie Fay. Obviously, if you want to keep that in the deck, which I think you could easily do, you just cut the portable holes and play, you know, Lightning Bolts, Fatal Pushes, Unholy Heats instead, which I've done in previous versions of the deck. So don't be alarmed by, you know, the obvious misbuild on the Shape Anew. It's not a crazy plan, it's just a foolish decision on my part to include it in my current configuration, but luckily I wasn't punished. Okay, so this Galazeth is going to give me the treasure I need, and that actually lets me fire off the trophy. They tap down, luckily, so I'm actually possibly going to sneak out of this game. The Mere Battlesphere is coming in. I'm going to tap 3 Mere, leave 1 back just for an emergency blocker. Let's see if they block. They chump on Ragavan. Okay, so now I have... That dealt 3 damage just from the Mere Battlesphere attack. Next turn, this is going to be 8 plus 4. I actually have lethal off the Battlesphere next turn, unless they present another chump blocker. I guess that will tell me. I mean, this Ledger Shredder is up to 5/7, and I'm only at 7, so I'm hoping they don't attack. And they don't. Okay, so they're actually saving this to chump block. Let's just get the Battlesphere in there and make sure the Ledger Shredder is truly dead. Tap all 4 Mirror, puts them to 7. Coming in for lethal, they have to chump block 5/7 against 8/7. Yes, this Battlesphere is amazing. Oh, what a sweet card. Super sweet against Is It Murktide, at least. We're going to fire off Bring to Light. Let's see if the opponent has something. They probably do. Yep, there's a counterspell, but they are very dead on board. Lightning Bolts. Okay, going at the Battlesphere, so they're not going at me, so let's come in again. Let's see if we have... Oh, no, not yet. Subtlety is going to come in. Subtlety will chump the Galazeth Prismari. Interesting. Okay, that's not bad. Valky, let's take a look and take their other Subtlety. So just an Archmage's Charm now. I think that should be the game, unless they draw a miracle. Archmage's Charm, yep, that's it. Alright, so the Shape Anew off the top, the 1 in 5 chance, takes down the match. Got a little bit lucky, but again, we totally punted the second game by siding out our Wrath. That would have won this match cleanly, but instead we had to roll the dice, as it were. So mistakes were made last round, that's for sure, but we were able to win off a mulligan to 5 in the deciding game against perhaps the #1 deck in Modern. On the play for round 3, we got Wrenn and 6 and fetch lands. That's what we'd like to see. Opponent is Arceus Dota. I know them as primarily a Urza player, but I don't know what they're on these days. Oh, looks like Force of Negation. This is going to be Crashing Footfalls, probably. Exiling a Brazen Borrower, yep. Okay, there's a Shardless Agent. Make some Rhinos. How easy is that? Just 10 power, 3 mana. No problem. So, nothing to do but fight through these Rhinos. Nice little interaction here as I get to use the treasure from Galazeth to play a Portable Hole, and then I can immediately use the Portable Hole to cast another spell. I'm actually just going to trade at a loss on the Rhino, because I have a second Galazeth that's not doing anything, so there's no point preserving Galazeth. Petty Theft. Alright, well, we've definitely spent most of our resources just trying to survive the first Crashing Footfalls, but if they don't have a second Footfalls, there's a chance I could claw back into this game. Let's get Galazeth. Time to start firing up the Gingerbread Cabins, give myself a life buffer, and summon Gigantha. Gigantha is bigger than a Rhino. Ooh, Fury. That's tough. Alright, down to 7. Let's see what we can do to survive. Let's make a couple chump blockers here, or a Goose to chump block. Dead and Gone. Bounces Gigantha. We'll chump on the Fury. We'll go to 1. Bring to Light. Okay, well, Force Negation shuts down all of that nonsense. I was going for the Mere Battlesphere luck line again, trying to target the Portable Hole, but opponent was not having any of that nonsense. The other option would be to get the Solar Blaze, but yeah, it's not looking good. I mean, that deck plays 4 Bone Crushers and 4 Fire Ice, so being at 1 life was not the best place to be. So we're down a game in round 3 against Crashing Footfalls, and we are taking a mulligan down to 5 cards, and oof, this hand cannot actually cast Wrenn and 6. That is not what you want to see. Would love to draw a fetch land here, and nope, we do not draw a fetch land. So this could be over relatively quickly. A forest, we'll take it. At least I didn't miss the land drop. Wrenn and 6 gets gobbled up by Force of Negation. Here comes the first rhinos. Yep, Shardless Agent. Okay, that's not nothing. Wooded Foothills gives me the blue that I've been looking for. Galazeth comes down. Galazeth will at least block a Shardless Agent. It will give its life for the cause here. Now it's time to bring to light. Oh, actually, we can't bring to light because of the Fire Ice, but we drew a Teferi Time Raveler. That's actually a great draw. Kills the first rhino, draws us another card. Now we'll bring to light on the second turn. And for some reason, I don't know why Arceus Dota did this, but the opponent cast Violent Outburst in response to Bring to Light. This makes no sense to me. Like, I was thinking as I cast Bring to Light, do I go for a Wrath, or do I go for, you know, like a Tybalt, or something, like maybe just Omnath to try to get board presence. But they're basically throwing away this Violent Outburst. I really don't understand it. So I brought in the Supreme Verdict just to make sure that there's no counter magic can happen. That's why there's no Giganta this game, by the way. So yeah, they just let me out of the hook, let me off the hook. That was, I think, a big misplay on their part. Now they're playing a Fury for no value, and now we have a second Bring to Light, so we can just grab Valky, and suddenly, I mean, they're down to just 2 cards. They do finish off the Valky with a Bone Crusher Giant, but we have a Fury in reserve now. Okay, Mystical Dispute. So we can actually answer their first Bone Crusher and, you know, potentially claw back into this game. Unmoored Ego can take out Crashing Footfalls if I can just find a window to resolve it. So let's get Galazeth down. That at least can trade with a Bone Crusher, and I have a backup Galazeth. I can immediately use the treasure to cast this Expressive Iteration. Oh, that was nice. Found a land off of it too. Found a Gingerbread Cabin. So I'm gonna get that life back. Here's a Stomp going down to 5, but this is okay. Like, this is an acceptable situation. Oof, Fury. Okay. So now we are going down to just 1 life. Or, well, let's use a Lightning Bolt. So we'll go down to 3 life. Galazeth, oh, this is nice. Look at this. With Galazeth, I can tap all of my random artifacts and do Prismatic Ending X equals 4. So all 5 colors of mana to just take out the Fury on Prismatic Ending. Love that interaction of Galazeth and Bring to Light, Galazeth and Prismatic Ending. Whether or not you believe in the Jinnie portion of this deck, you gotta hand it to Galazeth. It does some pretty neat stuff. So now it's a good window to fire off the Unmoored Ego. These rocks can only cast spells, but I can use my regular lands to cast the Fury, take down the Bone Crusher Giant, and now that I've taken out their Crashing Footfalls, they scoop it up. So somehow, improbably against the odds, we are going to Game 3 in our 3rd round against Crashing Footfalls. We're getting to keep 7 here. We have Supreme Verdict for protection. We have a Thoughtseize, so potentially we can, you know, if we get lucky and they only kept 1 Cascader, we can use Thoughtseize to, you know, delay the 10 power. Oh, they have 2 Cascaders, so they showed Violent Outburst, and Mystical Dispute. So we'll take one of the outbursts. We just have to fight our way through these rhinos. They're sitting on the outburst, and actually I'm just going to play Teferi Time Raveler into the Mystical Dispute, because that at least forces them to not play the Violent Outburst on their 3rd turn. I think that the longer the game goes, the more favored I am. I just need to get my defenses up. So this Tireless Tracker, well, certainly not great, right? I'm just going to probably just chump block with it here to preserve life total. It's just buying me time, right? It's buying me time, giving me resources so that eventually I can sweep the board and start to crack these clues to pull ahead. So we're just going to chump, preserve life, going down to 5 here. Here's a Supreme Verdict. Let's get a Gingerbread Cabin. Let's get a Goose. We're down to 4, but the opponent doesn't have us dead yet, right? They can play Brazen Borrower on our end step if they want to. We have the option to chump. Alright. There's a fire taking out the Goose, so no chump blocking for us. Brazen Borrower puts us to 1. Are we dead? Or can we untap and crack the food? We're not dead. Okay, Ren and 6. Take out the Brazen Borrower. Let's just crack some food. Going to 4. Mystical Dispute on Jinnie Fay. So still still no cats. I don't know why people keep countering Jinnie Fay. It's like they don't want to see me make cats and dogs. But that's okay. I mean, whether or not you have Jinnie, the Gingerbread Cabin still makes valuable food. And as you can see, we've been spending so many of these rounds at just the lowest possible life totals. Every point of life counts. Cracking food as soon as I can to make sure they don't top deck a Stomp or a Fire Ice. Here's Jinnie Fay. Here's Lavinia. Now, can we actually make a cat, please? Yes, let's make a cat. That's the food becoming a cat. Attack with the cat, and we're presenting now 7 power. It looks like the opponent has conceded. We have a decent board with an N6 emblem coming, and 2 clues to crack. So, yeah, the long game did indeed favor us. Well, don't ask me how, but by hook or by crook, we are 3-0. Somewhat surprisingly, I thought we were dead for sure in that second game. But 3-0 on the play in the 4th round against another Spire Bluff Canal, so this is probably going to be the same archetype. Is it Murktide with Ledger Shredders or possibly Dragon's Rage Channelers? We'll use the same game plan, just assume that we are favored in the long game, work on developing our mana, play it slow here. Let's just fetch the Gigantha into our hand. There's no reason to play a Tireless Tracker for no value. If we can resolve Omnath, that would be nice. Obviously, there's nothing we can do about it if the opponent is just sitting on counter magic forever. So let's just force them to have it. Oh, they don't have it. Okay, Unholy Heat makes short work of Omnath, but that was a 2-for-1 for us. That was nice. They're playing Ragavan at the hard way, which is... I respect that. Tireless Tracker, make a clue. So this Tireless Tracker is going to hopefully get us a 2-for-1 as long as we don't die in the meantime. Hoping to resolve that Ren and 6. They indeed had a counterspell for it, so now we are just going to play Jinnie as a 3-3 and try to block, and it gets immediately blasted with Unholy Heat. Man, all these red decks have such good removal. It's been tough. It's been tough to make cats and dogs. It's not Jinnie's fault, it's just like... the removal in Modern is so good. Okay, so I'm not going to try any more shenanigans with Shape Anew. Let's just side it out for the second game and not worry about this. Tireless Tracker making a clue. So we've entered the stage of the game where they've used up their counter spells. Obviously they have more in the deck, but this is where we're favored, I think. Tireless Tracker just needs a couple of turns to get like 3 or 4 cards worth of clues. We have plenty of big threats. I mean, I'm just going to hardcast the Battlesphere here and assume that the opponent can't answer it because they did not have a counterspell before, and indeed, they cannot answer it. So now we've just got the giant Battlesphere. Will Battlesphere claim a second victim? Alright, there's a Murktide Regent. It is a fully powered 8/8 Regent. So what are we going to do about that? Let's offer the trade first. I will trade my 8-power Battlesphere for your 8-powered Regent. Do we have an accord? Or are you going to go to 1? We're going to go all the way to 1. Okay. No way to cast 2 threats here, so let's just cast Galazeth as a blocker for some insurance, and then we can use all of this extra mana to bring to light. There's a Spell Pierce. Okay, so that wasn't going to resolve, but this is fine. Now, we're not dead to like Murktide plus Lightning Bolt, and yeah, the opponent has reached the same conclusion. They are dead to the mirrors. So Mirror Battlesphere claims a second victim, and we are on to Game 2 of Round 4. That was a fair Mirror Battlesphere, I should add. There was no Shape Anew shenanigans, no luck involved, just Straight up hard cast hit from 7 lands. We're on the draw now. Well, we don't want to get dunked on by Ragavan, so very happy to draw that Unholy Heat off the top. Here's a Ledger Shredder. Big question is, do we slam the Lightning Helix to just get this off the board, or do we slam Wrenn and 6 to guarantee land drops? This is a tough call. I wrestled with this one for a while. Ultimately, I decided that it was just more important to get the land drops. Resolving a Wrenn and 6 in that spot against a Ledger Shredder likely represented 2 lands. And yeah, that's indeed how it's going to play out. The trade-off is that the Ledger Shredder has grown, and I'm basically cannot kill it anymore unless I draw a Portable Hole, which I'm not actually sure if I kept them in for this game or not. So the Ledger Shredder is going to punk my Wrenn and 6, but that's okay. It saved 5 life for me, it gave me 2 lands. I'm in this game. Ooh, here we see the awkwardness of the Solar Blaze, right? This does not actually kill Ledger Shredder. Opponent is Mystical Dispute to counter the Galazeth Prismari. Alright, well now we're actually just a little bit down on tempo. If this were a Supreme Verdict and we had a second white, I would be a lot more comfortable. Oh! Okay, that's a Blood Moon. Yeah, forget everything I was just saying. This one is well over. I'm just going to scoop up before this Ragavan even hits me. Was not sure if they had Blood Moon. I think most Izzet decks are not playing it main, but this is a savvy player. They brought it in off the sideboard and got me good with it there in game 2. So it's off to the deciding match of round 4. Can we take Gingerbread Galazeth Bring to Light to 4-0 in Modern? On the play against Murktide, and this hand is nothing special, but just hitting land drops tends to be important in a matchup that, you know, should be decided by card advantage, as long as I don't get punked by a Blood Moon or overrun by Ledger Shredders and Ragavans. I'm going to hold this fetch land. Typically I would just fetch Gigantha immediately, but I need to represent Overgrown Tomb so that if they do slam a Blood Moon, I can at least kill it by floating the black mana in response. I'm just going to leave two mana open for this Assassin's Trophy as long as I can, just until I can get some assurance that the coast is clear from a Blood Moon. Alright, they did not counter the Tireless Tracker. That's kind of surprising, so I will get to make at least 1 clue. Let's see if... It's unlikely that I'll get the second clue, because I do just want to fetch this and get my land drops. Expecting the Tireless Tracker to die in response. It does, that's fine, but we can crack the clue and also make a second Gingerbread Cabin for our troubles. There's Jinnie, so now we're threatening some material. Oh no, come on. I was like, oh, they didn't counter Jinnie, I can finally use this Gingerbread Cabin to make a token, but they had a Lightning Bolt in response to the Gingerbread Cabin trigger. Alright, Murktide Regent. Well, we've been sitting on this Assassin's Trophy. They did not Blood Moon yet, so I'm gonna guess they just don't have a Blood Moon. I have to play as if they don't have it now. That means it's time to fire off the trophy. They're down to just 1 card. They have not drawn expressive iterations yet, so for the time being, the card advantage battle is favoring me since I have clues and a companion. Jinnie here does not have a source of tokens yet, so it's actually more valuable just to play Gigantha. If I find like a fetch land for another Gingerbread Cabin, I can just play Jinnie and, you know, make the haste cat. Ah, this is interesting. So here Jinnie is going to come down first, then Galazeth. Instead of a treasure, I'm going to take a 3/1 dog just to add maximum material to the board. This Unholy Heat is worth 6 damage against the 7/7 Murktide, and the Wrenn and 6 actually will finish it off. The opponent just concedes. They, I guess, drew 2 blanks. So, not sure what to make of that. I mean, Jinnie got blasted a bunch of times this matchup. It did represent 6 power there. But yeah, there you go, 4-0. How amazing would it be if we 5-0 with this ridiculous Galazeth Prismari, Jinnie Fay, Gingerbread Cabin deck? We're 4-0, we've beat Murktide twice, we beat Footfalls, we beat Burn. All of this despite having a very suspect build with Shape Anew and Portable Holes. That would be almost too embarrassing to have that in the 5-0s. We're on the draw in round 5 against Noble Hierarch. You don't see that too often. Breeding Pool Noble Hierarch. What could this be? Could it be Infect? Teferi Time Raveler. Bant midrange? This is strange. I don't recognize this particular configuration of cards. They actually bounced the food token to slow me down off Gilded Goose. Ranger Captain of Eos. Heliod Life? Oh no, Ginger Glistener Elf. Alright, so it is Infect. It's just like a Bant Infect, a little bit of a slower build. Teferi to stop my interaction, Ranger Captain to find more Glistener Elves. I have not seen a Bant Infect in ages. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Let's just chump to protect the Wrenn and 6. Wrenn and 6 is one of the best cards against Infect. It kills Glistener Elf and Blighted Agent, at least forces the opponent to blow their pump spells in response. So they have Ink Moth and they have Blighted Agent, and we cannot respond because they have Teferi, but, you know, we knew from killing the first Glistener Elf that the opponent does not seem to have any protection spells in their hand, at least not that they're willing to use. So I'm okay just, like, taking the damage off this Blighted Agent so I can be guaranteed to hit land drops. Gonna make some clues and food, right? Isn't this so nice how the Gingerbread Cabin gives you so much with a Tireless Tracker in play? We have successfully killed the first 2 infect creatures. There's still an Inkmoth Nexus to deal with. But we're able now to start putting some pressure on. We're pressuring the Teferi, forcing a chump block. There's a bounce. Okay, here comes the Inkmoth Nexus. So we could be dead. Oh, we're not quite dead. We have the Gilded Goose. So we can chump block here. Let's just chump block and make sure that nothing disastrous happens. Would love to get another blocker. I assume that they're not playing any kind of counter magic, so this should be fine. Teferi is going to shut down Bring to Light, so that's not really an option for us now. But Glittering Wish, just getting Assassin's Trophy, is at least an answer to Inkmoth Nexus. I mean, that's really what we're looking for here. And Galazeth gives me plenty of mana to cast said Assassin's Trophy. Yeah, it draws out a Blossoming Defense that gives hexproof to the land. So the threat is somewhat neutralized now. I guess the opponent has drawn more lands than they would like, and I killed the first 2 infect creatures, and I have a blocker here for this Nexus. So we're chewing away their resources. We've only got 2 poison damage. This should favor us, even though we don't yet have a second. Oh, Jinnie Fay. Okay, this is nice. Now every land gives me clues off the tracker and a Gingerbread Cabin, and I can just make haste cats, use all my Omnath mana to crack clues, and I actually have 17 damage, just like that. Oh, that was sick. So I'm attacking for 9 with this tracker, 4 and 2 haste cats that I found just from finding Jinnie and playing a fetch land. That was sweet. We are so close to the 5-0. I can taste it. We're up a game in round 5 against Bant Infect. A deck against which we have the full complement of Wrenn and 6. We have a bunch of spot removal. I don't want to count my trophies before they hatch, but, you know, I will take this matchup. If they beat me, they beat me. So it was a mistake. I actually did not mean to fetch that white source there. I got a little distracted and forgot that I didn't have a red source. Luckily, the opponent let me resolve Wrenn and 6 anyway. They didn't have a counterspell. We are in a little bit of a tough spot insofar as these Inkmoth Nexi are just gonna run roughshod, and oh my gosh, is that a Distortion Strike? It is a Distortion Strike. Okay, we might just be dead. Unless we have instant speed removal, we don't have any way to stop the Distortion Strike rebound next turn on the Inkmoth Nexus. Any second pump spell will kill us. No, don't do it! Scale up, no! Crack a clue, anything? If we can find Unholy, nope. Okay. Well, that was short-lived. So despite having Wrenn and 6, yeah, the Inkmoth Nexus, that's a tough one. So this is it now, Game 3, all the marbles, round 5, playing for the trophy, on the play against Bant Infect, and hoping we just don't get got by Distortion Strike on Inkmoth Nexus again. No amount of sorcery speed, portable holes, and prismatic endings can defend me from that. I have a tough choice here to make. Like, do I want to get the black mana so that I can cast Valky immediately, or do I want to get, you know, my primary colors? I got the black mana just to give me the option for Valky, but I'm actually going to choose to play this freshly drawn Renin 6 first and try to pick off the Hierarch. Opponent saw straight through that plan. They were sitting on a mutagenic growth, so I actually got blown out there. That was actually quite bad for me. So the opponent's hand had a second Noble Hierarch, which I took. Scale up, Might of Old Krosa, and here's the Ink Moth Nexus. I mean, they almost killed me right there. They could have gone for lethal. I guess they decided not to because of my Stomping Ground, but I'm actually fairly surprised they did not go for the kill right there. Alright, let's convert our Valky into a Noble Hierarch. This is a little bit of a risky play. We'll Bring to Light, we brought in Crumble to Dust. This will take down all of the Ink Moth Nexi, solve the Ink Moth Nexus problem. However, the opponent actually has 12 damage showing just from the Noble Hierarch's Scale Up and Might of Old Krosa, so if they want to hit me to 2 life, they can. Oh, they drew a Glycerin Elf, so they do not want to do that yet. So the game will continue. They put me to 12, so now I'm in range of that play I just described. Here's Galazeth. Portable Hole to take on the Elf, so we're starting to take control. I mean, I like the looks of this. Bring to Light gives me another strong... Okay. Bring to Light. So the issue that I did not realize when I was resolving Expressive Iteration is that I actually already used my Valky, so this Bring to Light didn't really have anything great to find. I considered Tireless Tracker, I considered Omnath in the end. Not sure what the right decision was. Oh no! Opponent drew a Blighted Agent. Oh my gosh, I know what's in their hand. So I know that they have to... this is a disaster. This is so bad. Glistener Elf into Blighted Agent. Alright, well, let's attack. I mean, there's no reason for them to block, but... we need to draw, like, a second interactive piece. But from where I'm sitting, I think I'm toast. Yep, there's a Scale Up. Unholy Heat in response. We'll draw them. I would draw another mutagenic growth. Okay, so... disaster. What a disaster. I am surprised that I lost that game. It looked like after I had resolved Crumble to Dust that I was in the clear. You know, I still had a Bring to Light, I still had Galazeth, I still had action, and I knew that all they had was pump spells. But they drew the cards that I didn't have the answers for. This Blighted Agents. Well, 4-1 is better than I was expecting. We're not going to complain about a 4-1, but we were so close to the 5-0. We were so close. That would have been so sweet. So, impressions after the league. 4-1, great results. So close to the 5-0. How did the actual deck perform? Well, as you saw, I got a ton of use from the Gingerbread Cabins. I'm in love with this land. Whether it was just padding my life total, even in the back and forth matchups against Izzet, you know, the life gets low against Crashing Footfalls, and of course against Burn. Just having 12 extra life hiding in your mana base is worth a lot. And as we've learned from decks like Indomitable Creativity, it's no trouble at all to have a all-fetch, all-forest mana base with Renin 6. Galazeth was pretty good. I will give Galazeth, you know, B minus. In this version, because I was playing Jinnie and Tracker and Goose, I didn't have as many spells as I've had in previous builds of this deck. I think the Galazeth would be even better if I had, like, more Expressive Iterations, or like a second copy of Glittering Wish. Mana-intensive spells that are also color-intensive, but very powerful. That's where Galazeth really shines, just turning an extra treasure, an extra food, an extra portable hole into the mana you need to cast these super powerful multicolored spells. Obviously, the Shape a New Gaff was a bit silly. Let's just cut the shape anew. And Battlesphere, I'm glad we played it because it was so sweet to have it in play. But yeah, we can't run this and Portable Hole. I think I would just keep the Portable Holes. They're good at killing Ledger Shredders and other Ren and 6s, that kind of thing. If you really were in love with Shape Anew, I could see replacing the Portable Holes with Fatal Push. Jinnie herself, I mean, I tried to cast Jinnie, I really did. You saw in the games how often she just got blasted, countered on the stack, killed in response to the trigger. But the games where she worked, I mean, she was pretty sweet, even just getting a little bit of extra value. The fact that she comes in and functionally with haste, you know, you can immediately crack a fetch, get a 2/2 haste cat. You saw that first game against Infect where I had the tracker in play as well, and the single fetch land became, you know, 2 clues and a Gingerbread Cabin food that became 3 tokens. So I like Jinnie here. I'm willing to try it again. She was worth a little bit of value. There's not a huge density of like token makers in this deck, but as a deck that is designed to like maximize Gingerbread Cabin, I was satisfied that Jinnie did something at least. And especially in Resource Wars, just having a few extra cards, or rather a few extra creatures that you didn't have to pay mana for, can be quite nice. So I would definitely play this again. Tweaks to be made, but I'm hoping to run it back. That's going to do it for today. Thanks for tuning in, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next.